Hello, welcome everyone to the latest in the series of The Secret Life of Rabbis. I'm here with Rabbi Barry Lerer of Central Synagogue. Thank you very much for joining me. Looks very sunny in central London, which is great. Let's start with the following. You've had quite a few shuls, quite a few, I don't know, we call them pulpits anymore. I don't know what they're called.
SLRs.
Yeah. Zoom places. There was Watford, am I right? Then there was Barnet, and before that, of course, Hampstead Garden Suburb. Direct capacity. I guess just tell us the story. Why did you become a rabbi? Where's the background over there?
So I was born in the USA, as Bruce Springsteen said, and then I moved to England when I was a child. Grew up in Monk's Shul. Went to Hasmonean High School. After high school, went to yeshiva for a couple of years and then on to university to study psychology. Had no ambition at that point or aspirations to becoming a rabbi. In fact, was looking into doing a master's into criminal psychology. And whilst doing that, I became the youth director at Hampstead Garden Suburb Synagogue. And working closely with Rabbi Jackson, Eddie Jackson was the rabbi there for many years, I got to see a rabbi in a very different light than I had seen growing up and started thinking a little bit about it. And then I went, ironically enough, back to the shul, which I was a member of when I was a kid in New York, Lincoln Square Synagogue. And I was sitting there one Shabbat at an ofruf of a friend of mine, and Rabbi Adam Mintz was speaking. And while he was speaking, I just had this epiphany. That's exactly it. I want to be a rabbi.
Wow.
So I came back to London. This was in October 1996. I called up Jews College and asked them if they had space on the Smicha program. And they said, yes, but you can't join until next September. And I figured, by then, I'm sure 11 months later, I'll have lost this impetus and drive and I won't be interested anymore. So I said, fine, put my name down. And sure enough, September came and I was still interested and studied there. And here I am.
And they lived happily ever after.
Yeah. Something
Absolutely.
like
that. Amazing. Wow. It's quite a journey. If we could just home in on a couple of points within that journey, what do you think, or what do you say is your most, or was your most memorable experience, most meaningful?
The most meaningful experience for me was just over a year ago. I'd already moved to Central Synagogue, but prior to that, for the 7.5 years prior, the Daf Yomi cycle, the day of Talmud every single day. What had happened was in August 2012, the new cycle was starting. And Rabbi Yoni Birnbaum, who was the rabbi in Hadley Wood, nearby community to Barnet Synagogue, and a close friend, said that, you know what, maybe we could be doing the Daf Yomi with the Barnet Synagogue members. And many of them had never been to yeshiva, certainly and many had certainly not opened the Gemara and learned it in a meaningful way before. And the suggestion of learning for 7.5 years a page a day was something which I thought was perhaps a bit of an overreach, but let's give it a go. And we did it. And they said yes. And we studied for 7.5 years every single day. I left 6.5 years into the venture to become the rabbi here at Central. But last January, in a week after the big, what they call Siyam Hashas in America, where 100,000 people gathered in New Jersey at the MetLife Stadium, which I was very fortunate, along with a few other United Synagogue rabbis, to be present at. I was there as a participant, not as a rabbi, to just be there with 100,000 other people, saying Shema together, answering Yehei Shmei Rabbah. Nothing prepares you for that. Really amazing. It was freezing cold as well, which took away a little bit of the enjoyment of it. It still was a tremendous trend. The next one, please God, will be, I already calculated, in June. So I'm looking forward to that. Might even be too hot if they do it at the time of the day they do it. But the last one was in January. And then about a week later here in London and the Hampstead Garden Suburb, we held a United Synagogue Siyam Hashas. I think it was the first time United Synagogue had ever done that. In the presence of the chief rabbi, of course, and the Dayanim of the London Beth Din, and a couple of hundred people who were there to celebrate meaningfully the completion of the Shas. And perhaps those who were given the biggest honor were the group of individuals from Barnet Synagogue who had gone on that 7.5 year journey. And to be part of that and to see them and to complete that and to be part of the United Synagogue doing something like that, that was probably my proudest moment.
That's incredible. After that, I haven't even computed that. To have, it's amazing. It just is to come every single day, to a share, it's kol hakavod, absolutely brilliant. Really am I allowed to move on to an embarrassing moment? You don't have to have any, but you can.
Unfortunately, I do have embarrassing moments. Probably the best embarrassing moment happened just before I became a synagogue rabbi, and I was interviewing for positions as rabbi. I'm a Kohen, and one of the jobs expected of a rabbi, of course, is to officiate at funerals, levayas, and there's complications with a Kohen because a Kohen can't be in the same room as a mace, as a coffin, dead body, and therefore I figured there might be issues arising when I tell the shul that I'm a Kohen. How is he going to be able to officiate, etc.? So I called up a predecessor at Stanmore Synagogue, where you are, Rabbi Dr. Jeffrey Cohen, well-known figure in Anglo Jewry, figuring he would be the best person to speak to about how does he, such an experienced rabbi, deal with this situation. So I called him. I said, Rabbi, I said, Rabbi Cohen, you don't know me. My name is Barry Lerer. I recently got smicha, and I'm starting to interview at shuls. And one of the situations coming up is, of course, that I'm a Kohen, and they're going to want to know about me wanting to do levayas and officiating. How am I going to be able to do it? Is going to be a problem. And he stopped me mid-flow and he said, you tell whoever gives you a problem that the rabbi of the largest synagogue in Europe is a Kohen. And I said to him, really? Who's that? He said, me. I said, right. And I didn't leave it there. I said, really? I've been to Stanmore Shul. I'm sure I've seen other shuls which are bigger than Stanmore. Anyway, suffice it to say, of course, I was embarrassed, and Rabbi Cohen was trying to tell me that it's not a problem. In fact, what he did was he let me do some shimush, let me come and observe him. He informed me when he was officiating at Levayas, and I went down to Bushy, and I saw that there are ways to be able to do it. Unfortunately, these COVID times, we're all doing it that way, where we're having the mace, the coffin outside, and the rabbi standing outside. But that's one of the ways in which you do it. But probably my most embarrassing experience, it was even before I got into the rabbinate.
There we are. Okay, it's good to have a private embarrassing experience, right? Yes. Public's much worse. Let me move on to the following. Let's talk about the role of the rabbi, if that's okay.
Yep.
So the changing role of the rabbi, really, I guess over the last couple of months, but the last decade, 2 decades, generation or two, there've been massive changes, right?
Sure.
What do you think are the kind of biggest changes in terms of rabbinic roles?
Sure. So I came to the rabbinate in January 2002, which is over 19 years ago now. And I was the rabbi at Watford Synagogue, as was mentioned. And Watford are an amazing community, wonderful people. And it really was a great place to start in the rabbinate. And what I felt what they were looking for as in a rabbi was a spiritual leader, someone to daven, to lead the services, to read the Torah, to give a sermon, to obviously speak at life cycle events, to explain about the festivals and to celebrate the festivals with. And beyond that, that really was the role of the rabbi. What I've discovered in time, and certainly as you mentioned over the past few months, is that the rabbi has turned into much, much more than being just a spiritual leader. Some have said on the journey of those 19 years, the rabbi becomes a CEO, he's in charge of the synagogue, and he's who all the other employees of the synagogue have to answer to. But I think in the last few months, if not a couple of years, what I've really noticed is that the rabbi has become a sort of all-in-one program coordinator, events coordinator, entertainer, where he's got to come up with ideas of how to bring people into the synagogue through ways, not through spiritual means, through other means, which by the way is fine. It's fine for people to do that. And if people feel their connection to the synagogue in other ways, I support that. But that certainly is a way in which the rabbinical role has changed, and something which we certainly were not prepared for when I studied there at Jews College all those years ago.
Oh, very interesting. Amazing. Let me just ask one last question at the end, if that's okay. And that is, it's a very loaded question, but we can do this. 2 rabbis can ask the question like this. Do you think the role of the rabbi, or rabbis in general, are undervalued?
So the role of rabbis undervalued. So within the community, I would say not. I think congregants in my 19 years in the rabbinate respect the rabbi, look to the rabbi for inspiration, and appreciate the role of the rabbi and what the rabbi can do for them, 100%. And I've worked with many congregants, and I've had obviously many congregants over the years, but I've worked with honorary officers, many congregants over the years, and they're giving their time, really they're devoting their time to the community in a way that a rabbi isn't. And maybe they could even have a moment where they think, hold on, I'm doing this, what's the rabbi doing? What's the rabbi's input? And I've always felt that no, they appreciate and look to the rabbi for inspiration. In fact, when I left Barna Shul, where I was for 12.5 years, one of my honorary officers had been an honorary officer throughout that whole time in different positions, be it warden, chairman, vice chair. And I said to him, in 12.5 years, we never had a cross word. And I think that says something for the role of the rabbi and being appreciated, etc. Certainly by the community. Obviously, you're going to get one or two individuals, but that's in all walks of life. You're going to get people that don't appreciate what you do. And the rabbi certainly has to have thick skin when it comes to those. In wider society, and even just today, I was talking to a congregant of mine who asked me, Rabbi, have you had your jab yet? And I said, no. And she said to me, well, don't you think you should? And then again, the government, should they have rolled out the vaccine for ministers of religion? Very possibly. I mean, the same question, of course, should certainly be asked about teachers. Why haven't teachers been put on? They're the ones who are looking after children of key workers, and the rabbi themselves have to be considered as key workers. So why haven't they? That's a question we could ask. But in terms of the synagogue, I think the rabbis are valued. In wider society, are ministers of religion and rabbis undervalued? Well, maybe that could be a question which needs analyzing.
Right. I guess the question also is whether religion as a whole is valued, but I guess that's probably a different conversation.
100%.
Right. Rabbi Lerer, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and a privilege. Beautiful talking.
Lovely to talk to you, Rabbi. Keep up the amazing work you're doing there.
You too. Thank you.